What happens when a major military announcement comes directly from a former U.S. president? Today, Donald Trump made statements about significant military actions targeting Iran, instantly raising questions across global political circles. Is this a warning? A strategic signal? Or the beginning of a new phase of tensions in the Middle East? And perhaps the biggest question of all, how will Iran respond if these attacks move forward? Tonight, we're going to break down the announcement, the geopolitical context, and what this could mean for regional stability. In our previous videos, we discussed rising tensions across the Middle East and how rival powers are positioning themselves strategically. From ongoing disputes involving Israel to broader security concerns in the region, geopolitical pressure has been steadily building. Now, the latest announcement from Donald Trump has added another layer of uncertainty. Statements referring to major attacks on Iran have quickly captured global attention. Whenever a prominent political figure discusses military action, analysts begin asking several key questions. What exactly was announced? What message is being sent? And what are the possible consequences? To answer those questions, we need to look at the broader history of U.S.-Iran tensions. The relationship between the United States and Iran has been complex for decades. Since the late 20th century, the two countries have experienced periods of diplomatic conflict, economic sanctions, and military tensions. These disputes often revolve around issues such as regional influence, nuclear development concerns, security alliances across the Middle East. Over time, both sides have relied heavily on strategic signaling rather than direct large-scale conflict. But moments of heightened tension can quickly draw international attention, and announcements involving possible military actions always raise the stakes. During his presidency, Donald Trump pursued what was often described as a maximum pressure strategy toward Iran. This approach included economic sanctions, diplomatic pressure, and military signaling. Supporters argued that these policies were designed to limit Iran's regional influence. Critics, however, warned that such pressure could increase tensions and risk escalation. Now, with Trump once again making strong statements about potential military action, analysts are debating what the underlying strategy might be. Is it meant to deter Iran from certain actions, or is it primarily a political signal aimed at influencing international negotiations? These are questions experts are trying to answer right now. Whenever statements about military action emerge, attention quickly turns to how Iran might respond. Iranian leadership under Ali Khamenei has often emphasized the importance of maintaining strategic deterrence. In past situations, Iran's responses have taken several forms: diplomatic statements, military readiness announcements, regional political messaging. At the same time, Iranian leaders understand the risks of direct confrontation with the United States. That's why responses are often carefully calculated. The goal is usually to show strength without triggering uncontrollable escalation. Another key factor in this geopolitical landscape is Israel. Israel has long viewed Iran's regional activities and military programs as major security concerns. Under the leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu, Israeli officials have repeatedly stated that they will act to protect national security interests. Because Israel and the United States share a close security partnership, developments involving Iran often involve both countries in strategic discussions. This triangular relationship between the United States, Israel, and Iran is one of the most sensitive dynamics in global politics. Whenever talk of military action enters the headlines, people begin asking a critical question: could this situation escalate into a wider conflict? The reality is that modern geopolitics is extremely complex. Major powers often use strong rhetoric and strategic positioning as part of negotiation strategies. At the same time, leaders typically understand the enormous costs of full-scale war. Because of this, many crises follow a familiar pattern. Tension rises, warnings are issued, diplomatic channels open, negotiations begin. The key challenge is ensuring that signals are interpreted correctly by all sides. Misunderstandings can sometimes create unintended escalation. Events involving Iran and the United States rarely remain confined to those two countries. Global energy markets, international alliances, and regional security dynamics can all be affected. For example, instability in the Middle East can influence oil prices and international trade routes. This is why governments across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East closely monitor developments involving Iran. Diplomatic efforts often intensify behind the scenes during moments of heightened tension. World leaders generally aim to prevent situations from spiraling out of control. Looking ahead, several factors will determine how this situation evolves. First, whether any official military operations are confirmed. Second, how Iran publicly responds to the announcement. And third, how international diplomacy develops in the coming days. Moments like this often move quickly, but they can also lead to negotiations that reduce tensions over time. That's why analysts are carefully watching every new statement and development. Let's return to some of the questions we asked at the beginning of this video. Was the announcement meant as a strategic warning? Is it part of a broader geopolitical negotiation strategy? Or could it signal a more serious shift in U.S. policy toward Iran? At this stage, the answers are still developing, but understanding the context helps explain why these announcements attract so much global attention. The relationship between the United States and Iran remains one of the most closely watched geopolitical issues in the world. Statements about potential military action always carry significant political and strategic implications. Whether this situation leads to heightened tensions or renewed diplomatic efforts remains to be seen. But now I want to hear your perspective. Do you think announcements like this are primarily strategic warnings, or could they signal a more serious shift in policy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Respectful discussion is always welcome. And if you want more clear, in-depth analysis of global events and international politics, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for our next update.